Salutations and shit, guys. Binksy also as well. E2 Tambien says, "Welcome and shit. Salutations, guys. Welcome to another episode of Travel and Shit, your new favorite travel podcast, where we have more of a conversation on the experience and the way our lives have changed as a result of travel. I am your host, D Carrie, and this is my co-host Pinksy. If you're new, it's my dog, and this is the only way to keep her quiet is just by letting her be with the shit. She wants to be down. I am still home. Kind of miss the studio. Also enjoy recording without pants. So there's that, and the pup gets to be here. So as the usual, their update, the course that I mentioned prior, the solo travel planning course and the supplemental workbook have been updated. So those are there for the taking. If you yourself already have travel experience, by all means, send it to someone that keeps asking you all them questions. And this way, you don't got to do the work. I did it for you. I basically break down all of the steps that I take in my experience with booking and planning experiences. There are lists with a ton of questions that you don't know, you need to be asking. So I'm pretty proud of how it's fleshed out and how it has come together. So it's there. You can head over to the link in my bio of the Instagrams or travelandshippodcast.com. And of course, the links are going to be in the description box for the episode on whatever platform you listen to said podcast. And while you're there, leave me a review, all that great shit, because it's a free way to support the kid. So I think that has been a pretty damn good intro. Short. I'm hoping that there's no timer on, what is this? We're recording on Zoom. I would appreciate that, Zoom, if for some chance y'all niggas hear this shit. Throw it on. The kid would appreciate it. Thinks he could keep me on task. So this week, back with another guest. It's not just me rambling. And hello, fleshed out questions prepared for y'all. I was without, if you will, the Facebooks, and I have mentioned to you guys before that I have gained a lot of not just insight, but started to really develop quite a community of content creators and really interesting travelers based off of the different Facebook groups that I'm a part of. Some of my favorites being Wanda and the Black Women Travel Podcast Facebook group, or the Black Women Digital Entrepreneur Facebook group. Let's see. And you know what? At first I was like, damn, Wanda, you couldn't come up with a shorter name. But then when I was naming the course, I'm like, you know what? I get it. Sometimes you just got to put all the words in and get to the point. This old niggas know what you're talking about. This way, it just, clarity's sake. And what was the other one? Boss Fluence has been another really, really dope social media platform of just resources. So I encourage y'all who, although you may be dodging and avoiding the aunties and the uncles and the foolishness that they enjoy posting on the Facebooks, there's a lot of good content on Facebook. And I say all that to say, I was scrolling through one of the travel groups that I belong to. I want to say it was Black Travel Movement. I'm not certain which one it was at this point. However, I saw and was grabbed by a really transparent post. We all know that a lot of us have been dealing with COVID one way or another, positively, negatively. 2020 has been a rough time, but I think that sometimes can overshadow that people been having a rough time just in the history of life, period, just because the way life works. So my guest this week, Leroy, thank you for joining me. If you would so graciously introduce yourself to the people. And I guess we can start with the post that you shared on Facebook, and I guess what inspired you to be so transparent and what you were discussing.
Sure, no problem. Hey guys, I'm Leroy Tyler, avid traveler here. So I've been to as of this year, been to 31 countries on every continent except Antarctica.
Nice.
The goal is to hit that final continent within the next year or so, hopefully. But as far as the post I shared on Facebook and multiple travel groups, basically it was like a side by side picture. So on the left side, it was a picture of a bracelet that I wore when I was discharged from a mental health facility, and on the right was exactly 4 months later on a beach in Tulum, Mexico, just reflecting on how blessed I am just to be alive, considering where I was 4 months ago. So I guess a little backstory. In February of this year, 2 weeks before my 30th birthday, my father passed away.
Mm, I'm sorry to hear that.
And
That's fresh.
yeah, so yeah, it really, excuse my French, really fucked me up mentally.
We speak French
You
over
know,
here. We fluent. It's
yeah,
fine.
so the funeral was a week before I turned 30, so it really
Mm,
destroyed me mentally. So, over the next like few months, I had good days, I had bad days, and I guess on May 1st, I believe, yeah, May 1st, I pretty much basically just attempted suicide that night. Like I just couldn't take it anymore. I was just done, just mentally, and just something inside me just stopped myself. So that night, I went to the emergency room. They kept me overnight, and then 12 hours later, I pretty much voluntarily admitted myself in a mental health facility because something needed to be done. I just couldn't I just couldn't live with negative thoughts anymore. I had to just get myself checked in. I had to take control of my mental health because it was spiraling out of control.
mhm.
So I was in there for about 3.5 days, and honestly, it felt like an eternity. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, um, it was completely different than anything I've ever experienced in my life. Like, I didn't know what to expect.
Mhm.
I don't know. I felt like it was like I was just questioning my sanity being in there. Just I felt like I was crazy, but I kept
Yeah.
telling myself I wasn't because, I was in there with other people dealing with the same issues with me stemming from whatever they were going through. Talking to different uh therapists and psychiatrists and psychologists in there over the last 3 days. Just on a eating schedule, which was weird, eating hospital food, which wasn't the greatest thing in the world, but hey, it's food.
Yeah.
Um,
You ain't
in
have to wash the
every
dishes.
Yeah, exactly. We had like these group activities where, we'd engage with one another about, different subjects such as like grief, depression, um, things like that. So it was eye-opening because like I said, I've never really experienced anything like that. So, like those 3 days, it I felt like I wouldn't say I guess I felt relieved that I went in there because things could have ended a lot worse.
Yeah.
So
The worst way.
yeah, yeah, easily. So, while you're in there, you have no internet access, so you're pretty much caught. You're pretty much cut off from the world. So you
Yeah.
can't. They'll give you like a notepad. You write down like 5 phone numbers that you could call throughout the day, like between
Okay.
friends and family. So you did not have access to the internet. You couldn't have your cell phone. So it was rough. I'm not gonna lie to you.
You're right. And how
But
old are you for context so people know?
yeah, I turned 30 this year in March.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, so it was rough, not having access to the internet, being cut off from the outside world. There were windows, but you couldn't see anything out of them. So
Yeah.
you were just in solitary confinement. That's what it felt like.
So, question for you. Had you experienced any mental health, I guess, concerns, or had you even given your mental health any thought prior to the death of your father, or was it like basically
Yes.
that was just it?
See, 15 years ago, my mother passed away when I was in high school,
Okay.
and so that's when pretty much my entire world came crashing down. So I feel like it got progressively worse
Hmm.
over the years. I just never did anything about it, and then when my father passed away, it was just like the tip of the iceberg.
Okay. In terms of your experience in admitting, well, what state are you in? Like, are you in New York? Are you down
I'm
south,
in
West
I'm
Coast?
in St. Louis, Missouri, but I was born and raised
Okay.
in Chicago, but I just live here in Missouri.
So I guess I'm assuming it's regional. I don't know if um, mental health services are like, what's the word, the phrase or the word, like regionally. I don't know if it's the same everywhere. Like I don't know what the experience say going
Hmm.
into a hospital like in New York, if it's going to be the same as it be in Texas as in Washington or Colorado. But when you got to the hospital, was it something that I don't I guess was it an emergent life, like were you bleeding out kind of thing, or did you have to go and try to speak to someone and say, listen, I'm in a really bad space right now, I've contemplated an attempted suicide, I
Hmm.
or
Yeah,
was
that's
it like
exactly
you
how
had
it happened.
okay, so you
Yeah,
just
so
walked in and said like
there was no like injuries or anything like that. I just went in there because, I had to. And
okay,
they kept me in the ER overnight to just, monitor me, that sort of thing.
hmm,
And then, they asked me if I wanted to, admit myself into, a mental health facility. I said yes. And
okay,
an ambulance came to get me like the very next morning.
okay, okay, that makes sense. Okay, that's helps for clarity just in terms of
Hmm.
like you're not like you didn't need to be stabilized. Well, stabilized, yes, but in terms of just triaging and the
Yeah,
such.
exactly.
Okay, so how do you think? Like after you had your experience in the three, like was it like on TV? Like, do you know what I mean? You know how like on TV they show like mental health facilities. It's like there's always like people spaced out, totally incoherent, and then you've got like the really weird ones that are like in the corner, but not the weird ones, but the that's not the right word to use, not an appropriate word to use, but the I guess more advanced on the spectrum, if you will, ones that are
Yep.
like non-responsive, banging heads on walls. Like, did you feel safe
Mhm.
at all in the facility? In the facility, like, how is the experience, like the environment, conducive to like peace of mind, if you will? You know?
So, I felt safe in there. It just the people in there were, all over the place. So I kind
Okay.
of distanced myself from, from those people. I just, just kept telling myself I'm here for me and not for anybody else. And, I only interacted with other people if I absolutely had to,
Hmm.
because, in certain situations, I'm kind of like an introvert. So I didn't really, I guess, feel comfortable with, interacting with other patients in there. I don't know. It just didn't sit right with me, I guess. I just wanted to
Hmm.
just get in, do what I need to do and get out effective immediately so I can get back to normal.
Do you feel like the 3 days was sufficient? Like, what happens in those 3 days that is different than like 3 days you being home by yourself or like on the phone with like a family member or a friend,
I mean, I
other than
felt
I
like
guess
it,
professionals?
yeah, I felt like it was helpful. They gave me, medication, that sort of thing. I was able to talk to different doctors every couple hours regarding how I was feeling.
Hmm.
Every morning I talked to a psychiatrist about, how I felt the previous day, how I'm feeling currently,
Hmm.
that sort of thing. So I was able to communicate with professionals the entire stay. So, it
Okay.
made me feel safe.
Okay.
When I came home, I just adopted some of the techniques that they told me to do, like, writing in a journal or a notepad every day, or if not every other day, whenever you can, developing mantras to make yourself feel good, that
Hmm.
sort of thing. So, I was able to talk to professionals pretty much every day I was there. So it's not like I was completely alone in a room, like
Hmm.
in a padded room type thing. Like nobody actually had their own room. Everybody had like a roommate.
Hmm.
So, one person will be on one corner and the other person will be on the other corner, the other side of the room.
Now, what was that experience like in COVID, especially? I assume that they like, do a COVID test before they just throw you in a room with somebody, or is it just kind of because this was
Yeah, this
May
was in May.
already?
So, yes, it was, I guess you want to call it the beginning of the pandemic or like right in the middle or
Hmm.
whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But the rooms were quite large, so like, there was plenty of space for social
Okay.
distancing, that sort of thing. But when it came to group activities, there was really no way you could be 6 feet apart from each other. It just wasn't possible because of the amount of space we had.
Hmm.
So, we had masks on, that sort of thing. But, you know, we
Necessary
managed, but
measures. Yeah.
yeah.
So, what type of like transitory care, if you will, like after, I guess aftercare is a better word for it. Like after you were discharged, well, was it a voluntary discharge? Did they give you option to stay longer, or is it
Yeah, they
like
did.
okay,
Yeah, well, 3 days is like the minimum.
okay,
But you can opt to stay longer if you really need or have to. I just chose, 3 days was enough. And I
okay,
felt like, I felt better after the fact. But upon discharge, they give you a prescription if you need it for
hmm,
whatever condition whatever condition you were diagnosed with.
hmm,
They give you a list of therapists within your zip code that you can talk to, that sort of thing. And just just stuff like that. Just what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, I guess there's really no way they can really like monitor you. They call you, just check on you, but
hmm.
upon discharge, they give you a prescription and a list of therapists and things in your area that you can reach out to.
Okay, so this pretty much on your like you are. It's up to you then after that point. Like they give
Basically.
you the resources and they don't necessarily facilitate. Like it's not like say if you go to your internal medicine provider and then before you leave you speak with the front desk clerk and they
Mhm.
schedule your follow-up with a cardiovascular surgeon or something like that.
Right, exactly. So
Okay.
basically, you're pretty much on your own afterwards. If you need to come back, you can.
Hmm.
But
Okay. Now, did you know it was going to be only 3 days when you checked in? Like, did you decide how long you were going to stay to before you started, or was that something that as at each point they were checking in with? Okay, do you want to stay longer than this, or how did that work?
so they knew. So when I got in, they let me know 3 days was going to be the minimum stay. Like that's just for everybody that comes in there. 3 days is just a minimum stay that you're going to be
Hmm.
in there. Yeah. So I knew that going in, but that was just something that I was willing to do because it was necessary.
Okay, so that can be a little shit. That would give me anxiety, like not knowing how long. Like I would have to actually be
Hmm.
there. Like okay, so it's a minimum of three. Great. I
Yeah.
know I need the 3 days, but then in my mind I'm like, okay, so what if it's longer than 3 days? Like how? What if it's like 7 days? What if it turns into 3 weeks? What if it like? How did you deal with that? How did you mitigate those concerns, or was that even a concern by the time you'd gone there?
It was at first, but as time progressed, I just knew I was going to be out of there in 3 days. I just, it was just, I was, I guess I was just preparing myself for that third day because I was just ready to get the hell out of there
Hmm.
because, I feel like I was, like I said, I feel like I was crazy
Right.
and I couldn't deal with it much longer. So I just did the 3 days and they asked me, if I was ready to go. I said, yeah, effective immediately.
Check that box. I'm ready.
Yep.
So if well, how do you feel now?
I mean, right now I feel pretty good, just take one day at a time, pretty much.
Hmm.
Some days are better than others, but I'm a lot better. I'm in a better place now than I was 5 months ago.
Okay. And thank you for sharing that experience. I do
Yeah, no problem.
appreciate that transparency. What led you to Tulum after all of that?
Um, I need a break, honestly. Like it just, I just really need to just go somewhere. So, Me and my girlfriend went, and we it, it was just it was just somewhere to go. I've never been to Mexico,
Hmm.
so it was, you know, it was a new country for me. Granted, I couldn't really do all the stuff I wanted to do because all the archaeological sites were closed because of
Oh,
COVID,
damn.
that sort of
Okay.
thing. So, you know, basically it was just more of a just a relaxation type thing. We just
Hmm.
stayed on a resort 99% of the time because we really didn't need to leave because it was all inclusive. So, you know, we didn't have to go anywhere for food or drinks or anything like that.
Hmm.
And yeah, so it was just a getaway for Labor Day weekend. It was absolutely worth it. I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Looping back, did your insurance cover the visit, or do you have insurance? Like, was that something
I
that
mean,
insurance was covered? Do
I
you know?
didn't at the time.
Okay.
I do now, but I didn't at the time. So, you know,
Adulting.
so, you know,
Okay, that's a
yeah,
necessary charge to incur, but just was
yeah.
curious. So now, when you booked the trip, you anticipated it being a relaxing experience.
Mhm.
Considering COVID, did it turn out to be a relaxing experience for you? Like, do you feel that you were able to, obviously, outside of being able to do the excursions you may have been interested in doing, do you feel that the precautions in place gave you that opportunity to relax, or staying on the resort? How did it? What was the change? Because it's I'm making an assumption, so I'll ask you: are you a stay on the resort kind of traveler normally, or was that just
See,
what you had to do because of COVID? And how did that play a role in whether or not you were actually able to really enjoy yourself on the trip?
see, that was actually my very first time staying at a resort. Like it's like not my thing. So
Same.
so it was new to me. So it was a foreign
Okay.
concept. So I just you know, I took it all in
Hmm.
because, you know, it was a completely different experience. I just wanted to just experience it, you know, to the best I could. So staying on a resort would be the best way to experience it. And, you know, they took they took every precaution necessary because of COVID. Like they had they had like this sanitizer thing for your shoes that you step in before you even enter the property. And
Hmm.
then in the lobby they had like a temperature scanning thing.
Hmm.
So you can basically step in front of it, they'll scan your face and they'll say if your temperature is normal, that sort of thing. Um, you know, there were in like at the buffet, you couldn't get your own food, so the waiters and staff made your plates for you, that sort of thing, just to prevent the spread.
Hmm.
Um, in terms of social distancing, it was pretty difficult because, you know, especially like in a swimming pool, we can't really stay 6 feet apart in a pool, which is not possible. So, you know, that was really the only, there's something that they couldn't help.
Hmm.
But other than that, the entire experience at the resort was it was pretty legit. I did like a whole resort tour on my YouTube channel, which I sent you.
Uh-huh.
And
Pictures came out great. I'll just say that,
oh,
like in
thanks.
the recording and not just when we spoke before.
Yeah, it was definitely I'd do it again, most definitely. Like I said,
Okay.
it was the very first time I've been to a resort slash stayed at one because like I said, it's not my thing. I'm the type of
What's
guy
your
that
normal?
just
Yeah, I was gonna. What's your normal travel style? Are you go for it?
yeah, I'm the type of traveler that I'm just always on the go. Like I'll wake up, shower, and leave, and won't come back until it's time to go to bed.
Do you usually stay like at Airbnbs, or do you do like, I guess, boutique hotels as opposed to resorts, or like, do you just happen to know people everywhere in the world and just stay with people you know?
It really just depends on the region I'm traveling in, honestly.
Hmm.
Like, for example, if I go to Europe, like 99% of the time, I'll just get a hostel because they're
Hmm.
easy. You know, you can get a private room at a hostel for cheap.
Right.
Um, you know, Southeast Asia, you know, you can get like a 4-star hotel for like $20 a night, pretty much
Right.
anywhere in the region. So it really just depends on where I am at the time.
Hmm.
I've actually never stayed in Airbnb either.
Really?
I've never done it.
Okay. That's a
So,
lot
you
of
know, that's
countries to
another.
never have hit an Airbnb. I have an affiliate link for you if you're feeling froggy. But okay, interesting. I do agree with the hostel thing. especially if I know like I'm not going to be there for longer than like 2 nights or one night. Like if I'm passing through like an area, if it's an extended
Mhm.
layover, there's no way I'm paying for a hotel when I'm literally just going to be there for the bed. Because I'm the same. I drop my shit off and I just want to go outside. Like give me
Yeah,
something to do.
see, my philosophy about this whole, about traveling in general, because when people say it's expensive, I'm like, that's because you're doing it wrong. And the reason why I
Hmm.
say that is because I'm the type of person that I'm not going to spend $500 on a hotel if I'm not going to be there, but to sleep, shit, and shower. It just doesn't make sense.
Exactly. Exactly. Think the
That's just
same
my
way.
personal opinion. Different stroke for different folks, like they say.
Hmm.
But I'm just the type of person that I'm not going to spend all this money on a hotel if I'm not going to be there. It just doesn't make sense. It
Right.
just doesn't. You can spend, you know, $500 on a hotel, but for what? Just say you stayed there.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Unless they have unless of course it's like a safety concern and that's the only way I can get to said region and
Hmm.
know that my belongings and my person are going to be safe at night. But then at the same time it's like, do I really have any business being in that region if it's really that much of a concern that I would have to stay in? Well, actually, no, I mean, because I'm thinking like, if I damn, I don't know, it's worth a consideration. Only because I'm
Hmm.
thinking like, if I were to go someplace like Eastern Europe, right? Or um maybe other locations in the Middle East, I would probably appreciate those as a solo woman traveler, especially. I
Hmm.
think that I might appreciate the extra securities of an actual property. I don't know. I'd have to look into that. So I might just be, I might have to redact that statement at some point. But as of now, I 100% agree with you're literally babysitting my luggage.
I mean,
I'm not
granted,
doing anything but shitting, sleeping, and showering here.
granted, you could splurge, but 99% of the time I won't, unless it's for like a special occasion or whatever the case may be.
I'm
Like
splurging on
if it's for
experiences.
if it's for like my birthday or something, then maybe I'll splurge on a nice hotel. But more oftentimes I don't, because all the
Mhm.
extra money you spend on that hotel can be used on some awesome shit like skydiving or whatever the case may be.
Exactly. I'd rather spend on an experience, and that in turn kind of like dictates whether I might spend more on accommodations. Like, for example, in Bali, you can get a whole ass house for like $12.
Oh,
But if
easy.
you want your own pool, if you want breakfast brought to you in the morning, you might splurge and spend
Hmm.
$26 a night. So for me,
Exactly.
that's like the splurge, but it's for the experience of I could wake up and get in the pool, or I can be in the pool at 1 a.m. as opposed to, having to worry about walking to another destination or dealing with, closures of resorts and other
Hmm.
properties and stuff. So, let's see, what is the next thing? Okay, so boom, Chernobyl. Let's get into it. So I was on your YouTubes, and okay, I I I'm trying to think of how I want to phrase this. Dark tourism specifically interests me. I don't know how, or I don't like, I'm trying to, I'm wondering if one, I could do it. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't know that I want to place myself in that space for like spirits to attach themselves to me, because
Hmm.
I'm immediately horrific deaths. Like that's a lot of energy. That's a lot of life loss. That's just in my mind heavy. And I tend to be a person that, I won't say that I'm overly sensitive to those things, but I know that I do feel those things like in spaces. Like
Hmm.
know that to be my experience, and at least having a certain consciousness that I am. It's on my mind, and to me, that's just like gateway. You know what I mean? Like it's on your spirit, it's
Right.
on your mind. You're already you're putting yourself at that frequency where it could possibly continue to be an issue. Um, so it's always been in the back of my mind, like, damn, would I visit Auschwitz? Would I visit Chernobyl? Would I visit? There's this hotel. Damn, I don't remember where it was. It was in like a Netflix documentary I was watching, or was it on the internet? I don't know, but I saw some shit, and it's like similar to Chernobyl. It was like an entire island. There was some catastrophic event, and like nobody visits it at all. It's
Three
just
Mile Island.
totally. Say it again.
3 Mile Island.
It might. Where was it?
Somewhere in the U.S. I think it's somewhere on the East Coast, I believe. I don't recall.
No,
But
this one was like I feel like it was near like Israel or Jordan or something like that. And then like if you're in the waters nearby, I might be conflating different docu things. But all that being said, what, if any, are you sensitive to things of that nature, like energies and like spirits and just the possibility that putting yourself in those environments can have an effect on your person?
not necessarily, because like, so the reason why I wanted to go there, because I've been wanting to go there forever. Like I'm a nerd at heart, and like one of my interests is nuclear physics. So I went there in December of 2018. So this is like a whole year before the HBO docuseries even was a thing.
Okay.
So I went, because I've seen so many documentaries about it prior to going.
Right.
I've read so many articles about it. So I've always wanted to go there. So I just bit the bullet and went. And you can't just go there like at will. You have to go with a group, like a tour group.
Okay.
So there's a lot of them that you can choose
Reasonable.
from. So there's a lot of them you choose from, but the one I chose, it's called Solo East.
Hmm.
And they're the oldest company in Ukraine that offers tours to Chernobyl. Contrary to popular belief, Chernobyl's in Ukraine. It's not in Russia. A lot of people don't know that. Um,
Okay. All right.
yeah, so I booked this tour. It was like $100, and
Okay.
it was actually, yeah, it wasn't expensive or anything like that. Not to me, but that's
Yeah, that's
subjective.
relative, day trip money that you're gonna spend,
Yeah, but the
especially in
entire
Europe.
trip was like, yeah, so like the entire trip was like 14 hours. Like you're there like all day.
That's
So
nothing for a day trip. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
and it was
fair.
worth it, and you get lunch included too.
And did they pick you up from where you were staying and
Yep.
drop you
Yeah,
off?
so there, yeah, so there's in Maidan Square, there's like this mutual meeting location that everybody will meet up at.
Okay.
It's like right in front of like the Independence Building.
Okay.
So they'll meet you there like 6 a.m. And the drive from Kiev to Pripyat, which is where the exclusion zone is, it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on traffic.
Not bad.
And you have to bring your passport with you.
Hmm.
There's like 3 checkpoints, so you have to bring your passport with you and keep it on your person at all times.
Okay.
And, yeah, so just being there, it was surreal. Especially, I went in the winter on purpose just to get that like ghost town vibe. So it
Okay.
was it was cold, it was foggy, and it was awesome.
You
So
about that life. You with the shits. Got it.
yeah, so like as an amateur photographer, it just made like the photos I took there, just looking back at it, I was like, man, I can't believe I took these, that sort of
Mhm.
thing. And yeah, it was just, you have to bring your passport with you. There's 3 checkpoints. The guard just asks you, you know, who are you with? What's the name of the tour group you're with, that sort of thing. They'll talk to the actual guide about that too, but they'll talk to you as well.
Okay.
And while you're there, you'll see a whole bunch of stray animals. No, they're not like, mutant animals or anything like that. But, see a whole bunch of dogs, deer, foxes, and stuff like that.
But we don't know that they're not mutants.
This is true, but,
They might
visually
could hear
speaking,
what you saying. You never know. Just
vis-
saying. Just putting it out there. Go ahead.
visually speaking, they didn't have any extra limbs or anything like that.
Right.
But so the first stop, it's I guess you want to call it like a grave site. So they have like this pathway with people's names on each side
Okay. I remember that.
of everybody that perished during the actual explosion.
Hmm.
And then from there, You go to when we went, we couldn't go to the hospital because the stairs were icy. So going up, it was a safety issues. Like you couldn't even go up and down the stairs; it was too slippery because everything was just like frozen there when I went. And while you're there, you're given a Geiger counter so you can actually measure the amount of radiation in the ground. And it's still
Mhm.
highly radioactive, but it's not enough to kill you, that sort of
Just enough
thing.
to fuck you up. All right, cool, cool. Now,
Not
do you
necessarily.
trust their machines, or like, did you see people that brought their own machines? Because then that would be my thing. Because in my mind, I feel like something like that can easily be sensationalized and exploited. Like if they just tweak all the machines that they have to give a reading of a certain magnitude, that it can, in my mind, it's just like, all right, so you're gonna make it look. Although I believe it to be
Not
ridiculously,
necessarily because
high or something, but or
I
they
mean,
could just shift it so that the numbers are lower so that they just have a marketable business model that they can continue to profit off of. So in my mind, I'm just gonna fuck it up one way or the other. Like I want my
yeah.
own. Let me
See,
order,
you can't
spend a
even.
little $50 on Amazon and bring it with me.
Yeah, you can't bring your own. So you have.
Really?
So yeah.
Hmm.
So
See, problems. I don't like that.
yeah. So the company gives you a Geiger counter, and like I said, you can hold it on the ground, and it goes off like insanely. It's pretty nuts. Um,
I don't trust
and
that
like I said,
using their thing though.
you can't. You know,
Did they say why?
like not necessarily. I guess it's more. I guess it's a security issue. I guess I can't. I don't know. To be honest, I can only assume it's more of a security thing because it's still highly radioactive. The exclusion zone. It's huge.
Okay.
So I guess they're trying to do everything they can about it. I'm not entirely sure to be honest. But yeah. From so we couldn't go to the hospital because it was that you couldn't go in because it was too icy. From there, we went to an abandoned nursery, which was
Hmm.
like the coolest thing ever. It was spooky at the same time because they still got people when the explosion happened, they were told to just leave everything, evacuate. They were they said they'd come back. They said that they were able to come back within 3 days, but that never happened. So everything that they left is still there. From they still got newspapers from the Soviet era still there. They got
Hmm.
kids toys and dolls and books still there. um Even like the baby cribs are still there. It's an eerie sight to see.
Can you touch stuff?
No way.
I was gonna ask.
Yeah, no.
Because it looked like you had like free movement through the space once you got there. But
Like
were there
we
any?
did, but we didn't. Because like I said, the exclusion zone is massive. Like the entire city of Pripyat is huge. Like people that worked at the Chernobyl power plant lived in that city. It's a big city. Like you had to drive from place to place. Like it was just too big to walk.
So when you say exclusion zone, what exactly does that entail? Because I'm thinking this is just like maybe a peripheral little workspace or area, like you just visited one location, if you will, and then hit different buildings, it looked like in that general area. But like, is the exclusion zone you're referring to like an entire city, or is it just
Yeah, so the basically with the exclusion zone, it's just I don't know how many miles it is wide, but basically it's just an area that was affected when the entire when the disaster happened. So I,
did
I
they say,
really don't
go ahead, I'm sorry.
I really don't know like how big the exclusion zone is. Like it's
Okay.
pretty big. Like it extends to the Ukraine Belarus border, which
Hmm.
isn't that far from Pripyat. It's probably like another like 2 hours away maybe. But when the actual explosion happened, radiation spread pretty much all over Europe. Like it went as far west as the UK.
Wow.
Yeah, so when it happened, a lot of people didn't know what was happening until probably like 2 or 3 days later.
Hmm.
but it was just really, it's just looking back at it and just being there after seeing so many documentaries, reading all about it, and just being there, seeing it in person. It was just completely, I can't even put into words. It probably, like, the coolest thing was being at the abandoned amusement park, which is, like, one of those
Okay.
iconic parks you see at Chernobyl,
Okay.
because when that particular amusement park actually never opened. It was supposed
Okay.
to open in May of 1986, but the disaster happened a week before it was supposed to open. So it's just standing there abandoned. It's never operated ever. It's just standing there, just abandoned.
Damn. So what was the energy like there? Like, granted, you said you couldn't touch anything. That's part of what would, I don't know how that would work for me. I'm a toucher. Like, I tend to touch things
Mhm.
just because, like I said, like energy is like big to me. So I know, most importantly for me is if I'm going someplace of like historical importance, or if I'm going someplace, I tend to do a lot of shit outside. So I'm the one
Mhm.
that's always like hugging trees, shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, I
Right.
believe in grounding and, just really being in tune with the energy of the space that I'm in.
Right.
So even if I visit a Costa Rica, for example, I ended up in one of like their museum has it, I don't know how to appropriately describe it or accurately describe it, but I remember somehow being in not leftover, but what do you call it? Like ruins of some kind of
Right.
fort or of the sort. So I enjoy like touching walls and just kind of envisioning like the stories of the people and the things that happen in the area. So
Mhm.
granted, you can't pick up a toy from, the nursery that may have been left behind, but are you able to like touch a bunk bed? Did you like touch the walls? Like, what was the feel of the space that you were in?
So it was really haunting, to be honest. Like, just knowing what happened there, knowing that these people just lost everything and couldn't come back. It was haunting. It really was. It just, knowing that it was the worst nuclear disaster in the history of mankind.
Right.
And it was fascinating but haunting. It's kind of weird to say it was fascinating, but it was.
No, I completely understand that. It's just the way people's minds think. We're naturally curious about, major occurrences. It's
Mhm.
just human nature, especially when you've got certain interests and sensibilities. I am completely enamored with all things supernatural. So, of course,
Mhm.
I'm like something like dark tourism, where you go to places of historical conflict or mass disasters, and just where huge life shit happens, there's a lot
Exactly.
to take in those spaces. So, question: the people like after the this may be a very naive question to ask, but did because in my mind when I think of like nuclear disaster, I'm immediately thinking like the nuclear cloud, and then this could just be the way media portrays it. Like,
Right.
it doesn't, I guess, like zap people and they die in place kind of thing. Or like, did the people that were in that space, were there like mass deaths on site, and then people, but like you were saying that they had to evacuate. I'm assuming that
Mhm.
because they were in that space when it happened, was that, I don't know how to appropriately say, because I feel like yes, everybody was affected in one way or another because they lost things that they had to leave behind. However, in terms of health, was there like any type of information that told you how many of the people that were like, did everybody just die within a certain
See,
window of time, or
to
did some
this
people live?
to this day, nobody knows the exact death toll of Chernobyl. Like, nobody knows. You know, people at so, not yeah, a few people actually still live within the exclusion zone. Like, they just chose not to leave.
Hmm.
So I don't know if they're still alive, but some people just did not want to leave. They stayed there. But to this day, 30 plus years later, they don't know the exact death toll of Chernobyl. Even if people are still alive, they probably contracted some sort of cancer because of it.
Hmm.
that sort of thing. But the death toll is unknown.
Right, which is reasonable because when you were saying the about how you saw the markers for the people that died on the
Hmm.
way there, I would assume that for all intent, it might sound a way, but those are the counted people. I feel like there are always people
Exactly.
forgotten in every instance. There are people that nobody really notices. There are people that fall under the radar. There are people that don't meet a certain criteria for what proper folk consider countable. Like there are always homeless people. There are
Hmm.
always disenfranchised and disadvantaged communities that are affected by a lot of things that people just don't necessarily consider as quickly, if you will, as maybe like government workers, employees of certain notable buildings that may have been affected. I'm thinking in terms of if that um, what do you call the amusement park was supposed to go into service like the week later. Imagine how
Hmm.
many just, you know, part-time workers or randoms were there just checking on something simple or just making sure that, this was running, or let me just run by here that nobody even knew they were supposed to be there. That's why I was wondering, like, was it like an immediate wipeout of anybody that was on the premises when it happened, or was it something that because of what happened it just kind of slowly started killing people off? Because now I'm thinking of all
Yeah, it was a little
the
bit of
zombie
both.
movies that I'm thinking that I've seen kind of related to the disaster.
So it was a little bit of both, honestly. Like when the actual disaster happened, because the way it happened, so they were doing like some maintenance on one of the reactors, and basically one, the reactor four malfunctioned and just
Mhm.
exploded. So yeah, that's pretty much how it happened. And just the impact of it, it actually was one of the main catalysts for the collapse of the Soviet Union when Chernobyl happened, because it was just an
Oh,
economic disaster.
makes absolute sense.
Um, yeah, yeah. So it was a main catalyst for the USSR to collapse. And so when it did happen, like I said, they were doing some maintenance on one of the reactors. It exploded. So I can only assume, people that were in there just died
Right,
immediately.
right.
Because like even now, 30 plus years later, in the basement of that reactor, just tons of just radioactive materials called the elephant's foot, and it's actually considered the most dangerous place on earth because it's still highly radioactive with tons of radioactive, material like corium and stuff like that. And it's quite heavy. Like it weighs a ton. And they
Mhm.
actually built what they call a sarcophagus over
Mhm.
that whole reactor because it's still highly radioactive. So they're just building like a shield
Right,
so
keep
it
it
won't just leak
contained.
into the atmosphere.
But that, I mean, in my mind, I'm like, it's leaking through something. The ground is gonna, the ground, I feel like, is absorbing it in one form or another. Like you can
Hmm.
only build up. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like you can't build under the shit. So have you been to any other, I guess, dark tourist destinations?
I was actually supposed to go to Fukushima this year, which is the other nuclear disaster that happened in March of 2014.
Wow.
Yes, I was actually supposed to go back because I've been in Japan before, but I've never been to Fukushima.
Mhm.
So I wanted to go there because I had been to Chernobyl, so I had to go to the other one. So it only made sense.
I'm gonna figure
So
out what the fuck I was watching and send it to you because I feel like there was also some type of nuclear thing, and you would apparently be into it. I gotta figure out what it was, and I'll send it to you. But that I was here for that. You know what I mean? Like
mhm.
this is not even a full ass lifetime. Like it's 34 years ago. So
Yeah, because it happened in April 26th of 1986.
what is the life, since you're into the nuclears, what is like the lifespan of nuclear energy? Like, is it even 30 years? Isn't 35 years, 4 years doesn't seem like a lot for something that you have to build a wall to contain to kind of subside. Like, how does that, like, I don't know.
Oh, they say so. From what I've heard slash read. You know, nobody, you can just never live in that area ever again. Like it's uninhabitable, like permanently. Like
Hmm.
from what they say it can take like centuries for it to even be back to normal.
Right. It just doesn't seem like what if the people that work there, do they have stipulations on like how many trips they can take or how long they can work in that industry or like visiting that destination? Did they give you any
So with it being not as radioactive as it was, when the disaster happened, you can it's safe to go there, but you can't live there.
Mhm.
It's just not humanly possible. Like you're actually like now you're actually exposed to more radiation on the plane getting there than spending 12 hours in Chernobyl.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Interesting. And I mean, I enjoy science as much as the next one, but that just kind of brain fuck for me. I'm just like
Yeah.
when you because then also considering most of us spend the majority of our lives at work.
Yep.
Like we all have the same 24. However, those of us that have to work tend to spend a lot of our time at our place of business or at our place of
Exactly.
work. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, if I'm going here every day and I'm spending maybe 4 hours a day, and I don't know, like I know part of what the day trip entails is, pickups, drivings to and from, and all that other kind of shit that goes in with the trip. So you're not spending the whole
Mhm.
14 hours at Chernobyl, but still,
Oh
like,
yeah.
6 years of being a tour guide and being there for 4 hours or
Mhm.
6 hours every day for 6 years. I
I
don't
see
know.
what
That
you
sounds like
mean.
blood money. That seemed like blood money to
Yeah.
me.
And at the end of it, they take you to a spot called Chernobyl 2. Basically, it's a decommissioned radar that was used to spy on NATO during, the
I
Cold
remember seeing
War.
that. Hmm.
And it was the coolest thing ever. Like the thing is massive. Like I've never seen anything like it. Like it just stretches as far as the eye can see, and it just keeps going. And it just even when you look up, it's huge. With it being so foggy, it just made it even more spooky being there.
Hmm. And that was what, like a satellite on land kind of thing? It's like a
Yeah,
big ear
basically.
listening device.
Yeah, so basically, um, if if NATO in the US decided like to fire a ballistic missile, they'd already know about it. So they'd be just pretty much prepared for it
And so it's
even
still
before.
functioning.
No, it's decommissioned now. It's definitely
Oh,
not
okay.
functioning.
I was
Yeah.
about to say, they let y'all get up close to something that's
Yeah, no,
actually working.
it's decommissioned now, just there.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it's absolutely massive. Like if you Google like it's called the Duga radar, you just see a picture of it, how long it is. Like it's
Mhm.
astonishing.
Wow. At some point, that worked. Science for you. I can't even pretend to understand how those things work, but I bet they work well. I mean, one would hope. Shit, they spend all
Yeah,
this money and stuff putting it together. So,
yeah, they
other than
call
the
it the Rush.
destination, the cost of what?
They call it the Russian Woodpecker as a nickname because just the sounds it made. Like it sounded like a woodpecker pecking wood.
It still made the sound.
I'm saying like, when it was working,
Oh, okay.
that's what it was that's what it was colloquially called back
Hmm.
then when it was working.
Okay, I would assume that it was like, for as large as it seems, that would be something that you would hear even just being near. Like if you lived nearby, like for example, people that I live by JFK, but I know
Hmm.
people that live closer to JFK. I have a friend that lives much closer, so whenever we'd be outside on his porch talking, we'd always have to occasionally stop and
Right,
wait
because of the
for the
planes.
planes to go over. So I'm assuming that if you lived close enough to it, that would be like a thing. Because if it's as big as it is, it's not going to be a
Yeah,
little
it's
one
huge.
woodpecker. It's like a I don't know what is it, like a flock of woodpeckers, if you
Right.
will. That sucks. So other than the destination in Japan, do you have any other dark tourist spots that you're looking forward to traveling to in the future?
I also want to go to Aokigahara Forest in Japan, which is it's called the Suicide Forest.
Yeah.
So I'd like to go there. Um,
Seriously?
Yeah, I would love to go.
Even considering your experience with suicide, you
I
would still want
would.
to
I
go?
would absolutely.
Bruh, I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could do it. I don't think my eyes is watering already. I don't know. I
Mm,
don't think I could
yeah,
do
I
that.
would.
Nope.
I would love to go. Like it just seems interesting.
No,
Um,
you got it. Mm-mm. Nah. Do they
I've
even have tour groups that go there, or is it like
I
a
they
solo?
don't. So you have to
Same,
go on your own. Like I've
same
looked,
thing.
like I've done the research on how to get there, that sort of thing. Just never made it there yet. I
Why?
just, I haven't had the time.
Why? I'm so curious as to why your curiosity extends beyond voyeurism. Well, like
I
from a
don't know, because
distance,
like,
that is.
when you think of Japan, you just think of like Tokyo, Osaka, places like that. I like to just
Hmm.
go to places off the beaten path in certain countries.
Hmm. Me
Um,
too, bro. But that
so
no.
I don't know, just it's I don't know, just the I guess like the legends behind it, the supernatural stuff behind it. It just interested me for a long time. So I just wanted to see it for myself. It's at the base of Mount Fuji, and yeah, I just love to go. I wouldn't stay long. I just want to go.
I am completely good with steering uh very, very clear. I'm good on, like, if I could ensure my flight plan didn't even cross that bitch, I'd be cool with that. I I too am very um interested in the supernatural, and that is my precise reason for not wanting to go. Now, I guess possibly a distinguishing factor in, um, do you believe in the supernatural? Do you believe those occurrences to be viable and, I guess, maybe truthful
um,
experiences of people?
I mean, to a certain degree, I do. It's just like I don't know. I can't really explain it. It just it's just like if you lose a loved one and you feel like you see or feel their spirit or ghost or whatever you want to call it.
Hmm.
If you experience something like that, you just feel like it. I mean, it is real. I don't know. I don't know if it's a mental thing or if it is real or not. I don't know. It's just I don't know.
But
So
see,
to
to
answer the,
me, go ahead, answer the question.
I guess to answer the question, I'd say yes because you know I feel like I've experienced um some. I feel like I've seen
Hmm.
spirits in dreams or whatever. I guess whether it be friends that I lost, family members, that sort of thing.
So, same. I don't think that I've ever had any of my family members visit me. So, full transparency, I've only lost two people that have been really, really close to me, is my grandfather and an aunt. I've lost other people that I absolutely cared about, but I feel like that might absolutely be a distinguishing difference. Where if
Mm,
your connection to someone was not as strong, I mean, like, I can't envision, as much as I love my boy AJ, I can't envision him coming to say nothing to me. You know what I mean? I would
right.
only envision my grandfather or my aunt to come visit me in any form or respect. However, I know I've seen some shit. I know I've seen, like, I always am aware of things happening outside of like my immediate attention span. And I do believe those things to be supernatural. It doesn't really bother me because as long as we could coexist in this space, like, I respect that
Hmm.
you here, you respect that I'm here, and we can just coexist. I'm with the shit. I don't believe human energy or living energy to be the only energy. Energy just never dissipates, it just changes forms. So that is
Right.
my personal belief. That being said, that's absolutely the fuck why I would not. You couldn't. I just, I feel, you know what? It's just not for me. I can absolutely understand the allure for people to want to experience it. I
Mhm.
just would be too afraid of succumbing to whatever energies were there, just because of my own beliefs and my own experience of myself, and I guess my experience, well, not experience, but belief of what the supernatural is capable of.
Exactly. And I feel like there's a reason why, you just, I feel like there's a reason why there's no like tour groups there. And I respect that because like after the Chernobyl documentary came out, everybody started going there and it just ruined it because, you got these Instagram influencers just going there. They don't know anything about the disaster. They just go just to get snaps there,
Hmm.
not knowing
Hmm.
anything about it, just stunned for the gram. And it's messed
Right.
up
No reverence
because
to the experience of the actual history.
exactly, and I feel like social media in a way has ruined the travel experience
Mm.
because it's just, how can I put it? People aren't traveling to learn anymore. They're just traveling just to get cool pictures and post them on social media.
Yeah, it's more sensationalized at this point. It's just,
Oh, absolutely. Because I've been traveling, well before social media was a thing.
mhm.
So I just feel like it's ruined it. And I firmly believe that and nobody can change my mind about it.
I feel you on that. But I will say that, in fairness to an alternate experience, I feel like social media, I agree with what you're saying, but I also agree with the sentiment that social media has also opened up the experiences or the
Oh, absolutely.
possibility of um, travel for others, while also, when done appropriately, informed others of what possibilities or experiences can be available to travelers. I know personally, I'm 35. I didn't leave the country until I was 30. Like,
Hmm.
January 2017 was my first international trip. Partial lie. I went to Canada once when I was like 12. We went for like a church bus
Right.
trip for Carabana that weekend or some shit like that. But the first time I left was January 2017. And a lot of it was because of social media. I was able
Hmm.
to see people that looked like me going on trips that didn't look like the extravagant, expensive
Exactly.
trips that I'd always known travel to be. Like in
Hmm.
my family, we did like family vacations with my grandparents, but it's like my grandparents in my mind was always rich. You know what I mean? Like they were retired
Right.
my whole life. So they were doing the cruise life. My grandparents stayed on a cruise. So my vision of travel growing up was, just going down south to visit family, or
Hmm.
going to one of my grandparents' timeshares, or, just doing something out of New York, but still relatively locally to the East Coast with my grandparents. Other than that, old people go on cruises. That's what
Right.
that's just my experience. But that being said, once I saw people my age being able to go to the other side of the globe, and then when I'm like, oh, well, one, I don't need a travel agent, because that was another misconception that I had, that
Hmm.
I have to pay somebody to figure it out for me, and that I had to
Exactly.
know all the things to tell them that I'm looking for. So I will say that social media opened up the world of possibilities to me.
Oh, it
It
definitely did.
also, introduced me in a different way, because I also had friends that were traveling prior, but because I wasn't able to see it, it wasn't, because I
Hmm.
feel like sometimes when you just have a complacent thought in your mind, you let it live. Like you leave it as is, as opposed to necessarily diving into how accurate or true it may be after further research. So when
Right.
I started to see people that I knew, oh bitch, you went to Bali? Who's that? Like, okay, so wait a minute, I know you don't make, well, not that I know, but as my friend circle or as my immediate demographic, I'm like, all right, so we both work jobs. So I
Mm-hmm.
know that we both got a little bit of disposable income, but we're not out here living on Park Avenue with, your $250,000 incomes every year. So it seems like if I get a couple dollars, this might be a viable option for me. And I've
Right.
also seen a lot of different places that I may not have known prior to social media. But I will say though, I just love history in general, and I love, Black experiences, period. And that has always been even before travel. So in fairness, back to your point,
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested in history as is. So I'm going to do that extra little bit of legwork and hit a couple of Google searches and figure out what I'm getting myself into before I get
Exactly.
there, or at least have an idea of what it is that I want to do in a general region, and then flushing it out once I get, the options at hand.
Right.
So that's damn. So it's a blessing and a curse. It's
Absolutely. Most definitely.
in your
Most
experiences of traveling, have you kind of had to, I don't want to say combat that, but I know sometimes that as I'm making my way through this travel experience, as I'm sharing it with people, because I have a fucking travel podcast. You know what I mean? So
definitely.
like I'm that
Right.
fucking influencer that's taking photos and taking pictures, but I'm also just actually interested in shit. You know what I mean? I try to be a conscious traveler just because that benefits me. That's just something
Yeah,
that
of
appeals
course.
to my sensibilities. But see, I feel like we kind of have that in common, where we just have that general history disposition. Like we're interested in the shit to begin with and not doing it just because. So what has your experience been like in terms of, creating content for your YouTube channel and sharing of your experiences while not really falling into the stereotypical influencer monolith or archetype?
So over the years, a lot of places I've been to, I didn't get any footage from because
Mm,
I was just focused on where I was at that moment. Like I didn't care about like not getting any video footage or anything. I kind of regret it now, but looking back at it, I don't because it's memories I hold on forever.
right.
Um, I say like one of the, I guess the trip, I guess that put me on the map, I guess, as a quote unquote traveler or travel influencer, I guess, is probably when I went to Russia last year. And reason being, because, let's just be real, a lot of black people wouldn't even think about even going there.
Hmm. It's
Like,
not the Caribbean. Again, that's the travel archetype. That's the travel stereotype. We there. We all over the place and we belong there. However, we just don't see it as much. It just takes a little bit more to dig through that facade of travelers to find the people that look like us and appeal to some of the extra things we're
Mhm.
interested. They there. It's just that they're so much harder to find.
Oh, I agree. That's not my reason for going to certain places. I don't go
Hmm.
places and look for other black people.
Hmm.
I just don't.
Okay.
That's just my personal thing.
Hmm.
If I'm interested in going to a place, I'm going to go there regardless if black people are there or not.
Hmm.
So
Fair.
I've always been interested in Russia, especially like in terms of their architecture, especially. Um, have you ever played the game Tetris?
Of course. I'm a
So
child of
that
the
game
80s.
was, yeah, so that game was invented in Russia.
Okay.
So it sparked my interest even more as a kid. So I've always wanted to go there. But,
Interesting.
as I
Cool.
got older, learning about, getting there, that sort of thing, the visa process turned me off for the longest time. And I just said, fuck it at one time and just bit the bullet and applied for it, got approved, got on a plane and went.
What was the visa process like? How is it compared
was
to other places?
it was a pain in the ass. I'm not gonna lie. Like it was probably the hardest visa I've ever had to get. So I actually made a detailed like video tutorial on my YouTube about how to apply for as a U.S. citizen.
Okay.
So
Cool.
basically, um, so the application itself, the visa application itself, took like an hour to fill out. Like they want to know a
Oh,
lot. Like they want to know, it's like almost applying for a job application almost. Like they want to know, your name, date of birth, all that good stuff, all your passport information, what you do for work, what your parents' names were, do you have any special training with nuclear weapons, a whole bunch of shit. Like, yeah,
Invasive.
so yeah, it was pretty insane. So there's a lot of like loopholes, like how you can just like beat the system. So basically, one of the questions was, list all the countries you've been to over the last decade. So I've been to a lot of places over the last 10 years, but the passport I submitted didn't include all those countries. So I just included the countries that I went to on the passport I'm sending them.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to completely answer that question truthfully. Just
Okay.
send, just answer the question with all the passports, all the places that you've been to in that particular passport. And another thing is, when I went, this is before they started issuing 3-year visas. So when I went at the time, you can have a valid visa for 30 days. So what I did was,
will that work for 30 days? That's it?
Yeah. So like what I did was, a lot of people make a mistake of, when they applied for the visa, they only put the dates that they were actually traveling to Russia. So it will be valid for an even shorter period of time. So what I did was I made mine valid for an entire month, just in case my flight got delayed getting out of there, or whatever the case may be. That way I wasn't stuck there.
Gotcha.
So I would have that extra wiggle room just in case something went wrong. I wouldn't, get stuck there for, violating visa policy or whatever the case may be.
Smart.
Yeah, so then you have to take a new picture for the visa. So there's only 3 Russian consulates in the United States. Now there were 4, but the one in San Francisco closed down. So there's one in New York City, DC, and Houston. I don't live in or near any of those cities.
Sure don't.
So I had to use a visa agency. So I used one called Visa Express.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing you need what they call a letter of invitation. It's not as hard as it sounds it is to get. Basically, you can get one through a third party or even through a hotel that you're staying at. They can just email it to you. What I did was it was like $20 through a website called waytorussia.com.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll email it to you, you print that out, and submit that with all your other documents. And the visa itself, it wasn't cheap. It was like the whole thing between consular fees, the Visa Express fees, the visa support letter, the passport photo, and then shipping. It was like $400. It was not cheap.
Goddamn.
Yeah, so
you gotta be committed to that, and all for 30 days.
Yeah, it was. I mean, this is like as of April 2019, like literally after a month after I got back, you can only get 3-year multi-entry visas now. So I was pissed when I got it. So I was like, damn, I gotta get another one.
I would have been so hot. Damn.
Yeah, I was mad. So it is what it is. I don't make the rules.
Now, quick question on that: is that visa for entry from the United States? Is that the same for if you were to enter from? I guess that's just if you have an American passport, period, regardless of where you enter from. Like, what if you took a middle trip, if you will? Like, if you flew into I don't know, UK, and decided you wanted to hit up Russia before you got over to like Malaysia or something like that. I assume you'd have to go through that same process, right? It doesn't matter where you originate.
It does actually, because you have to be in your home country when you apply for the visa. You can't be overseas. So even if,
good to know.
Like the only caveat to that is if you have like residency in another country, you could do it. But other than that, you have to be on shore in your home country in order to be granted a Russian visa.
I'm sure there's a loophole that you could do, but do you really want to risk
I wouldn't risk
it.
It's
the question. The question. Like having somebody back at home send all the paperwork for you, like you complete it all, but then have them send it for you. Like, that's not work. Because I'm thinking just in terms of like a lot of digital nomads. Like,
Mhm.
say you had spent the last 6 months in, or 5 months in Mexico, or the way things are going with COVID, you can be at any location at this point. I have friends like Wanda's in Malaysia. A couple girls are in Thailand. So it's kind of, damn, you're still an American citizen. Like, you're still moving on that American passport. It's just that you are bobbing and weaving from all over the place. I guess you would just have to, at this point, since you got the 3-year option,
Mhm.
wait till that trip back home if necessary, just
Yeah, you're gonna
to
have to.
keep things clean.
Yeah, you got to be in the United States when you apply for it. Like it's
Okay.
just, what they say. And honestly, it was totally worth it. It really was. Like I loved it so much. It's actually in my top 5 countries that I've been to. Like I
Why?
loved it that much. I don't, it was just it's completely different than anywhere else I've been to. It just, you know, just I don't know. It's just debunking all the stereotypes that the media makes Moscow out to be. Like it's not a horrible place.
Mm,
It's beautiful. And just the people there, they're like the coolest people ever. Granted
nice.
that Russians don't smile. It's just like, it's a cultural norm there.
Hmm.
It has nothing to do with you being American or whatever. It's just a cultural thing there. Russians just, they don't smile.
Okay.
So don't take it personally. But I don't know, it's just a really interesting place. Just between like the culture, the food, the people, architecture. It's like it feels almost mysterious because what the media portrays it out to be, and you see it for yourself. It's completely different.
Right. Reasonable. I can dig that. I can dig that. What about
Mhm.
that trip do you think made it the it trip for you in the influencer scasm, if you will? Like, what was it about that trip that you think um
Because a lot of people told me that they were just afraid to go there. They feel like they don't like black people there. They never heard of any black person even thinking about going there. So, just me just, debunking all the stereotypes, that sort of thing. So it was just really, I don't know, like I said, it was just completely different than anywhere else I've been to.
mhm,
Just in terms of like the logistics of getting there to just it just navigating. It was rough though because of the language barrier. I don't even lie to you.
mhm.
I know somebody in Moscow, so she met me at the airport, that sort of
Nice.
thing. And so basically she was just like my own personal guide. She took me places that, when people go to Russia, when you think of Russia, you think of Red Square, the Kremlin, and
Mhm.
St. Basil Cathedral. That's it. I went to a whole bunch of places in Moscow that people don't even know about because of her. Like, there's it's this museum of uh, what's it called? It's a Cosmonauts Museum. So
Cool.
basically, it's basically a museum about the Russian space program,
Mhm.
that sort of thing. And my friend's father was actually, part of Mission Control when the Russians went into space in the 60s.
How fucking cool is that?
Yeah, it was awesome. And just
Like,
like,
bring me to your house. I want to talk to your dad.
oh man, it was absolutely incredible. Just like, there's this other museum I went to called the Museum of National Economy,
Okay.
and it was just really, just this, it's just like, how can I put it? You don't learn about this stuff unless you go there.
Yeah, you have to seek that kind of information out, and it's just not, you have to do the work, which kind of sucks, but I
Hmm.
get it. Like, there's so much shit in the world, there's so much information that it's not just all gonna, be there. It's just not the way of the world. It's not how it works. But it's just
Yeah,
it's
like,
kind of, what's her name? I guess last week, Sadie was saying to me, I was explaining to her that I enjoy the diaspora everywhere I go. So a lot of times I'll pick out different stops along different tours that I may not be able to book if, depending on my time there. And you Google
mhm.
this, you Google that, but you just have to do the work. And she was saying that that was a really big reasoning behind her company. Is just like, you shouldn't have to do all of that work. It
Mhm.
should be readily available to you in terms of, a tourist provider or like a something in the tourism space that's providing a service should kind of do that work for you, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And then like when I from Moscow I went to St. Petersburg, and St. Petersburg was a whole different vibe than Moscow. Like it was completely different.
What
Like
was
I don't know,
different?
people were a lot more friendly in St. Petersburg. It's more of a cosmopolitan city compared to Moscow. Um, it was way easier to navigate, that's for sure.
Okay.
It's more walkable in Moscow, that's for sure.
Okay, that's cool.
Um, yeah, so like, and there's a there's a way to beat the visa system for Russia too, because you can actually take a ferry from Helsinki, Finland to St. Petersburg, and you're allowed 72 hours in St. Petersburg visa free.
Love those. I love those. That
So
same thing happened in Shanghai because I flew into Shanghai. I had the 72 hours as long
mhm,
as you stay within the provinces that they allot
yeah,
you to. You don't need no visa. Same thing with Doha. Once you get
yep,
in there, you got your 72 hours. Do what you want to do.
mhm,
You just have to. I did it through the airlines that I'd flown when I went
yeah,
to those
exactly.
destinations, and they made that. But that's a good one. That's very good to know. Like if you don't intend to necessarily be there for that long, then that's always an option. I mean, if you're going to Finland.
Yeah, because I got the visa because I wanted to go to Moscow because like it was very high on my bucket list.
Hmm.
And like then I was video chatting with my dad, God rest his soul. He was like just in awe of what he was seeing, because like he actually, when I told him I was going, he was like, "What? Why?" Like,
That's what my dad would say. What the fuck? What?
because one of his favorite songs is "Stranger Moscow" by Michael Jackson. And so he was like, "How's it feel?" I'm like, "Man, to be honest, it feels weird being here because like it was just I was just taking it all in, and
So
I
that
just felt like I just met some of the coolest people there. They're just like begging me to come back. Like I
oh,
remember
that's
on
cool.
my last day in Moscow, I went to there's this so it's actually the highest restaurant in Europe, and it's called the Rusky restaurant, and in that particular restaurant there's an ice bar in there. So they'll give you like a big ass fur coat and ushanka, which is like those Russian hats, and
Okay, cool.
everything in there is made of ice. The vodka glasses are made of ice. The dispenser is made of ice. The counter is made of ice, and they give
That's when you
you
get gloves, right?
and they give you gloves, and they give you a couple of shots of vodka with some red caviar. It was like the most disgusting thing ever, but just
When
I
in
was in
Moscow.
Russia. Exactly. Like
Right.
I
Bugging.
wasn't a fan by any means, but it's all part of the travel experience. I didn't
Right.
get this extensive ass visa and I'm back out not doing anything.
Show shit
So
did.
exactly. So yeah, it was pretty cool. Then like in St. Petersburg, I went to the Vodka Museum, and I brought back like 3 bottles of vodka. One of them it's like a golden color and it's infused with thyme and ginger, and it's fucking delicious.
Ooh, I'm not a
Yeah.
vodka girl, but that does sound appealing. You
Yeah, it
sold
was
me at the ginger.
yeah, so like they'll let you taste test
Hmm.
different ones, and you can, pick which one you want, like to bring home, that sort of thing. And while you're taste testing it, they give you like 2 pieces of rye bread, one like with like a pickle and another one with like sardines and lard. It's weird.
Yes, I'd have to agree with you there.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, when in Russia, do as the Russians do.
Absolutely. That's like you said, that's the travel experience. Not only did you not spend all that much, like you didn't spend all that money, you spent all that time to, you know what I mean, make the
Mhm.
trip a possibility. And it's what's the point in going there for you to eat Popeyes or KFC
Yeah,
everywhere?
because I
Yeah.
spent 2 months planning it, like just between the visa process and then everywhere I wanted to go. And I had Burger King there, and it was fucking awesome. Like
I was
they
gonna say
have,
that's one thing about it. I've heard that all the fast food tastes different in different parts of the world.
oh, it
That
does.
is the
I can
one
confirm.
appeal to fast food. I would want to do it just for that, but not on some I order chicken fingers everywhere I go. Like, no, you just
No,
appeal to the culture of the area you're in. Like, that's for me part of what makes travel so appealing.
they sell beer at Burger King. I was like, what is this? Like, and,
Well,
they
the
drink
good life.
vodka. They drink vodka like it's water there. Like it's insane. Like I remember, so in Moscow, there's this restaurant called Stolovaya 57. I'll never forget it. It's right in the heart of Red Square. So like you have the Kremlin on your right, you have St. Basil's Cathedral in the middle, and on the left you have this big ass shopping mall. So on the third floor of the shopping mall is a restaurant. You know you're there because the line is always long. And so you get some authentic Russian food there. So I went there on my first day with Vita, who I was,
Mm-hmm.
who lived in Moscow. Um, so she took me there, and when I tell you Russian food is fucking delicious. Like,
Wouldn't
I
expect it.
stroganoff, stroganoff is Russian. A lot of people don't know that.
Sure didn't. I assumed
Yeah,
it was like
stroganoff.
German or something.
Yeah, stroganoff's a Russian dish. I had borscht, which
Which
is
is
it's basically it's this red beet soup. You can either have it hot or cold.
okay.
It tastes better hot, in my opinion. I've had both. Like in Ukraine, I had it as well, but I had it cold when I went. Um,
Nah, that's for you, girl. I'm good on the beats. I'm okay. I mean, I feel like I would try it just because if this is like a popular dish here, I want to be able to say I tried it.
mhm,
But like, I'm not.
yeah,
Give me like a little shot cup. I just want to taste it. I don't want to
yeah.
order it.
Oh man, just like I don't know. I just felt, contrary to popular belief, I felt welcome there. Like they
Hmm.
were just so friendly, and they just like all my friends that I met there, just like, when did you coming back? Like,
I
I
love
look,
that.
it's a place I like. When I go back, I have to visit more places because Russia's
Yeah.
huge. It's
Hmm.
massive. Like Russia's so big, it spans 11 time zones.
Goddamn. We
Yeah,
got 11 times. Well, yeah, we do. But I just assumed that they were just redundant. For some
yeah.
reason, I assumed they were
Russia
all
has
redundant time zones.
Russia has 11 time zones. It's huge.
Oh,
Like
damn.
if you flew from Moscow to Vladivostok, which is on the other side of the country, it's 8 hours on a plane.
Okay.
And,
Just
I
in,
want to.
well, I mean, Cali's 6 hours away, so it's definitely larger than the United States.
Oh,
I'll admit that.
absolutely, by far. I want to do the Trans-Siberian Railroad. That's like high on my bucket
Oh,
list.
absolutely.
Like it really
That
is.
would
Like I
be
was gonna go to
incredible.
Irkutsk, which is in Siberia. I just didn't have the time. So
Right.
I just did Moscow, St. Petersburg as like a intro to Russia type thing.
Hmm.
So when I go back, I'll be ready. I'll know
Right.
what to expect.
You can kind of skip that part and just jump into, because I feel like how long is the actual train ride? And is a
It's
30
like a
day visa even
it's
enough?
like a
Okay, yes, so
week.
it is.
Like going from
That's
Moscow to Vladivostok on the Trans-Siberian Railroad. It's like 5 to 7 days, I think.
that's a good portion of your visa. It's
Oh,
like
absolutely. But
now
with
that
when you get the 3 year visa, because those are the only ones you
hmm
can get now, you can stay up to 6 months on that particular visa. And it's
nice.
multi-entry, so you can go in and out as many times you want within 3 years, as long as you don't stay over 6 months each visit.
Okay. That's
And
reasonable. Makes sense.
yeah, and the thing is, I was gonna go to like, when I was planning the trip, I was gonna go to like Kazakhstan because it's right there,
Hmm.
but I didn't have a multi-entry visa, so I wouldn't be able to get back in Russia.
To get
So
your ass back home. Got it.
exactly.
You just
So
had to arrange.
yeah, because like that entire month of March 2019, like, so I at the job I was working, I got laid off. So like I just took that whole month off and just traveled my ass off. I just need a mental break. So
Hmm.
I went to Russia, and then I met with a friend of mine in Amsterdam from there. Then from there we did like a day trip to Rome because the flights were cheap.
Makes
Um,
sense.
and then we split up in Rome. So I flew from Rome nonstop to Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, that was interesting. That was a 14-hour flight nonstop.
I think that's the
Uh,
longest I've been on a plane for one stretch.
yeah, it wasn't fun. I mean, I got upgraded premium economy, so I knew that it was paramount. I got that leg room.
Ooh, excuse me. Fancy,
Yeah,
fancy. I did it, coach.
yeah, it was great. Um, Argentina, it was a really significant trip for me because South America was the sixth continent I went to. Um, I had called my dad and like, he was like he was really happy because, he was just watching my journey to visit all seven continents.
Hmm.
Um, I know Argentina was really I always wanted to go there, so I went.
Right.
And and the
Period.
flight was cheap it's weird because like getting to South America from like flying from the US to Buenos Aires, it was like $800. It was
Hmm.
expensive. But
That's like one way,
yeah, and
depending on how you do it.
When I flew from Rome nonstop, it was $305. I was like, take my money, let's do
Yeah.
it. So, um, yeah, so I went to Argentina and had a ball. Like the food there alone was, oh my God. And like I did a I did a random day trip to Uruguay. I woke up one day, I was like, I'm gonna go to Uruguay today. So I caught the ferry from Buenos Aires to Colonia del Sacramento. It's like a 90-minute ferry ride. And just like all spur of the moment things.
Hmm. That is incredible. So I assume
Yeah.
you backpacked or at least travel. You are a light traveler. Carry on is life.
It depends. So
Okay.
in Europe, I'll go backpack only. But like if I'm in like Southeast Asia or something, I'll check a bag because I'm gonna want to bring back some shit because it's so cheap.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because like in Bangkok, I brought a whole suitcase there just for souvenirs. Like I brought back so much shit because it was cheap. Like I went
Okay.
to Chatuchek Weekend Market. It's like a flea market on steroids. Like
Ooh.
yeah, it was insane. Like I lost my shit there. I didn't know how
Because
to act.
that's me who goes in the dollar store and $100 later, it's like, did I really need anything? But it was $1. So did you not
Speaking
need it?
of speaking of a dollar store, you need to go to Cambodia.
Ooh.
It's the dollar store of the world, literally. Like so they use the US dollar as their currency.
Ooh.
So you can literally get like I'll even send you like a picture on Facebook, like a messenger or something. Like I took a there had this like this sign with for like massages and stuff, like per hour. It was like $2 US. Like it was dumb. Like you can get a pint of beer for 50 cents there.
Love to see it. This is
I was
my
like, what
language.
is this? Like I was like, how you guys make money? Like it's granted Cambodia's a third world country, but how do you
Hmm.
guys survive out here? Like there's just no way off
Well,
these
clearly
tiny
it is.
wages.
They doing it. Damn. I guess
I
the
think
I mean I don't know if it's fair to say the cost of living is less or it's just the dollar is just like the exchange is just hopefully one would hope that it's an equitable exchange at least. You know what I mean? Like I don't
right,
mind giving you $1 for this hour long massage. I would just hope that it is a fair wage for you in this space. You know what
right,
I mean?
exactly. Hmm.
Because I don't mind that it's $1, take my dollar. But I just would feel bad if no for if you're not going to spend $1 on it here just because you know that $1 isn't equitable here. Like $1 is not
Hmm.
getting you anything. But if that dollar can actually sustain, your living costs for a week of your month or however, I mean, a day, if even because I feel like
Hmm.
it's unfair to say that a payment for one service would sustain a week, but you get what I'm saying. Like I would just
Yeah,
hope that it is an equitable exchange for what's going on there.
because
But you mentioned, go ahead.
I was like, 'cause I did Thailand, Cambodia, and Japan in the same trip.
Okay, that's a okay, a couple different spots. And I tend to
Yeah.
travel like that as well. But how long were you there? Like, did you do like a week in each destination, or a couple days here, flight, couple days there, flight?
So I did Cambodia for 3 days because the only reason why I went was go to Angkor Wat. That's the only reason why I went to go to
Okay.
Cambodia. So I did Thailand for 4 days, Cambodia for three, and I was in Japan for like a week. I went see in Japan. I was there on a writing assignment, so I
Nice.
knew somebody there, and she asked me if I'd been. I said no. So she asked me to go there.
Hmm.
So she paid for my hotel and everything. All I do was get there.
Okay.
Um, so basically, she wanted me to just write a review of the hotel, and in exchange for her paying
Nice.
for it, so I did, and it was fucking awesome. Um,
So is
so
that
like
what you
they,
do professionally? Like, how did
no,
that
not
come about?
necessarily. So like so I write a lot of reviews of different places that I've been to. I don't know if you've seen like my posts in different travel routes over the years.
Hmm.
So she contacted me saying, my writing style is like phenomenal, and she lives in Japan. She asked me if I've been there. I said no. So she asked me if I was going to be in. I let her know I was going to be in
The
Thailand.
area. Right.
So I flew Tokyo from there because it was easy.
Yep.
It was like $200 one way.
Once you leave the
So
United States, you can get everywhere else in the world. I mean, not all the time, all the places, but it's just a lot easier to travel out of the
easily.
United States.
Yeah. So she asked me if I was going to be in the area. I said, yeah, so I'm going to be in Thailand. So she's like, look, I love your writing. I, you know, I'm a, I'm a manager at this hotel. I'm going to get you a room and you can write a review for it and put on TripAdvisor when you leave. I was like, bet. So while I was there, I was able to have some fun while I was there.
That's beautiful.
Just roaming Tokyo. Went to Kyoto for a day. So I caught the Shinkansen from Tokyo to Kyoto. Went to Arashiyama, which is like a little region in Kyoto. Went to a bamboo forest. It was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So basically, she was like, "Look, go to Japan. I'm gonna have somebody meet you at Narita Airport as soon as you clear custom. I'm gonna drop you off at the hotel, and yeah, have fun."
That is an incredible testament to just do the work. Just do the work, and you never know who's watching and what
Yeah, exactly.
opportunities will present themselves. What do you do what's the word, professionally? Like, what is your industry that you work in?
So I was working as a senior farm tech for a while, before I got laid off at that job. So like I was doing that probably for like I think 5 years. So,
Okay.
basically pharmaceutical stuff. So it's like my
Hmm.
niche these days.
Got it. I used to work at a
Yeah.
pharmacy. My first on the books job. So salute, because old people get real cranky when it
Well,
comes time to
especially
pick up them prescriptions.
especially
They don't
now
play.
because open enrollment. So
God bless. 'Cause, oh, yeah, that none of that is fun. None of it is. That's a very difficult thing because I'm looking into like trying to help my grandma, and I'm like, Ma, I don't know. This is the one thing about health insurance and like doctors and stuff I can't really help you with, girl. So
yeah,
I
because there's so
please
many
step
plans.
in.
Like, then you got these high deductible plans, you got these, out of pocket expenses. Like it's a lot going into it.
Yeah, it is. I can see how it's absolutely intimidating for someone to try to figure it out, because I'd say for the vast majority of us that have insurance, it's through our job. So our
Yep.
biggest dilemma is PPO or HMO. What are my options? How much I want every week, or how much I want every paycheck, and who all covered? Like, that's generally
Exactly.
how I guide my insurance choices. And then you retire, and now it all has to make sense in an entirely different um, you know, frame of reference, or you lose work, and now it's like, now I have to consider what my options in terms of it's, listen, that's messy. I don't even want to get into that. Insurance is
Right.
okay. So speaking of insurance, I guess reasonable segue for the last thing I wanted to really touch on. I saw that you donated a kidney to your father.
I did. So the way that happened, so he had a history of, I guess, kidney problems, that sort of thing. To the point where his left kidney was actually failing. So originally he was going on dialysis, but my grandfather went through that. His father, and, essentially you're just like a ticking time bomb with that sort of thing. So he didn't want to do that. So the next best option was a transplant. So
Hmm.
myself, my brother, and a couple of my cousins, we all got tested. My sister was pregnant at the time, so she couldn't do anything
Okay.
about that. Um, so we all got tested, that sort of thing. So 48 hours later, I was at the arcade, just hanging out. I get a phone call from Northwestern Hospital. They're all like, you're 100% compatible to donate. Would you like to do
Wow.
so? I was like, sign me up. So that entire summer of 2012, I was just in and out of the hospital getting tests done. Like anything you name, I had it done. Like EKGs, CAT scans, urine tests, blood tests. I had all that shit done. Like it took so much blood from me to the point where needles don't bother me anymore to this day. Like I just got used to it. Like I
Yeah,
was at that
I
hospital
don't
like
like them.
every other day. Like they could have just got me a room up there. That's how often I was there. Like just to commute from home to downtown Chicago was a pain in the ass every other day.
Hmm.
Just getting all those tests done. So like the night before the actual surgery, they gave me magnesium citrate, which is a liquid laxative.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, you gotta cleanse out your system for any sort of
And not a
outbreak.
little bit either. It's usually like a
Oh yeah,
gallon, and that it's a lot.
yeah, it wasn't fun by any
Mm.
means. um, I remember that particular like the morning we separated, went our separate ways, signed my HIPAA papers, that sort of thing. I remember being in I guess the OR.
Hmm.
I remember the last thing I remember is the doctor telling me he was like, "I'm about to give you this stuff. It's gonna make you feel like you just drank a 6 pack of beer. It's make you feel good." Next thing I know, I had no clue where the hell I was. Like I just hear all this like noise. I didn't know, like I don't remember passing out or anything. Like I just remember, I guess, waking up,
Hmm.
hearing just voices and noise, and I tried to move, and it was the most painful thing
Ooh.
ever. Like I couldn't move. Like it was just that much. It was that painful. Then I guess they moved me to my room, and my sister and my grandmother were there waiting on me. And I was starving. I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't eat anything, like not even like liquids.
Mm.
And
Sucks. Because it already
the
been from
next,
the night before. You cleared everything out, so you
yeah,
ain't have
exactly,
nothing. Sheesh.
yeah, exactly. And then the following morning, when I tell you hospital food never tastes so good in my life. So they gave me like a walker almost to, I guess, maneuver to my dad's room, which is like down the hall from mine.
Hmm.
And we actually took like I guess our first steps together without walkers. It
Wow.
was it was probably one of the best days of my life. I'm not gonna lie. Um, it was weird because I literally went home the very next day after the surgery. Like I thought I was gonna stay. I thought I was gonna stay for like a week. They sent me on 24
Yeah.
hours later.
They took a whole not a so is the whole you have two kidneys, one liver, right?
Yeah.
That's where that works. They
Yep.
took a whole kidney.
Yep.
So they pulled something out you and then back on you.
Basically. And they gave me what did they give me? They gave me Tylenol 3 with codeine and hydrocodone. I didn't take any of it because people get
Oh,
addicted to that stuff, and I didn't
indeed.
want to take that risk. So I just dealt with the pain like a champ. It was not easy. Like they gave me a
Yeah.
6 week recovery period, and it was
Hmm.
the worst 6 weeks of my life. Like I felt like I felt like a couch potato almost. Like I could barely move. Like going up
Reasonably
and down
so.
the stairs was a chore in itself. Trying to like sit in a prone position was a nightmare. Like it was rough. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Now I ask
Um,
you about that experience because I'm curious how that may or may not affect your travel experience. Like,
so it's good that you brought that up because I was actually going to Australia later that year for I got a work visa, so I was gonna be gone for a year.
nice.
So I had a flight booked, but I wasn't fully recovered from the transplant, so I called the airline and let them know, and they actually changed my departure date free of charge because of what I did and why I couldn't travel.
Hmm.
So they said, due to, your compassionate act of service, just pick a departure date. We'll change it for you. Just let us know when you want to leave.
Nice.
And yeah.
That's I'm happy to hear that because we always hear about companies just being companies and not being
Mhm.
compassionate to anything. So I can easily appreciate hearing something positive. But does that is I guess having a kidney less, do you have to monitor the type of activity, or is there like I guess after a certain amount of time you just move, life is normal, life is general, like can you go do the same types of activities? I would assume it's just a
I mean,
function of
I
how you
can.
process stuff, right?
I can, but I can't because, in terms of like exercising, I have to take it easy still because I can, like, to this day I still feel like some pressure in my lower left abdomen. If I'm doing too much, my body's gonna let me know.
Okay.
And, and, like, especially like even with like drinking, I can't drink as much anymore like I used to
Hmm.
because of it. So I just gotta just take it easy. So I know I have one kidney. Like I feel it all the time. Like
Wow.
especially if I'm like running, like it, like even it just feels weird still.
That is so interesting. I guess you just feel your body is adapting to not having something there, I guess, right?
Yeah, because
It
realistically,
works differently.
you only need one kidney. You don't really need both, depending on your health and stuff like that. But I
Hmm.
was healthy enough to not have both. But it's a principle. Um,
You came with two, so I
exactly.
assume things work better with two. Damn. But you don't have to like altitudes don't affect you any differently. I guess like if you were to go on a hike outside of like just the excursion, like the exacerbating I guess physical or manual labor, like higher altitudes or like say scuba diving or something, or you don't have to moderate the levels that you can go to or anything like that, or
Not
you know what I mean, like other.
necessarily, because like not necessarily because when I went to Australia 6 months later, I hiked a mountain in Tasmania,
Mhm.
and yeah, I felt fine afterwards.
Cool. Okay. So that's note to those of y'all who have the opportunity to be a lover and share of yourself. You can still do the fun things outside. So that was all the questions I had of you. Are such a dynamic traveler. It was so interesting to hear of all of the different places that you've been. That's one of the things that I absolutely love about the podcast is being able to um, talk about travel, not necessarily just based on the destination, but also like just the experiences around
Mhm.
the destination. And especially when people go to, not want to say less than touristic places because there's an appeal of tourism anywhere just because people like everything, right? But
Right.
just not your, not the Caribbean all the time. Not that there's anything
Exactly.
wrong with the Caribbean because the Caribbean has its own appeal, but I enjoy a good history stop. I enjoy a good, natural experience outside in terms of just different hiking experiences and shit like that. So hearing about a hike in Tanzania absolutely piques my interest. So thank you for sharing that of yourself with me and with the audience. So where
No
can the
problem.
people find you, and where can the people get an experience of your writing that got you a free ass stay in Japan, and the your YouTube, and where can the people find you and keep up to date with your travel experiences?
So my blog is under construction, so I'll update that later. But
Hmm.
if you're in like various travel groups like Black Travel Movement, No Madness Travel Tribe, that sort of thing, just search my name and just pull up everything I've written over the years.
Got it.
Um, I'm on Instagram at Bruce Leroy Travels, all one word,
Hmm.
or just on Facebook, just Leroy Tyler the Fourth.
All right. So I will absolutely have all of those links in the episode description. As well, in the episode description is, of course, the link for Travel and Shit merch. Shout out to the hooded crop tops. Yay, Binksy and I, we love our hoodies. I love all my merch, to tell you the truth. But if you too are interested in merch, there is a link in the episode description. There's links to the Instagram in the episode description. I'd really appreciate if you could, if you like this episode or any other episode of Travel and Shit, thanks for fucking with the kid. And please subscribe and rate the podcast just so that it makes it a little bit easier for strangers to find the wealth of information that is shared here. If you have any questions in particular, or if you have any suggestions, comments, and all that jazzy shit, shoot me a email, dcarry@travelandshitpodcast.com. That too will be in the description. So, Leroy, thank you again for joining me. I appreciate you being so open and candid with us. Thank you for sharing your
Oh,
story. And,
anytime.
I wish you continued health and safe travels.
Likewise. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Banksy, say bye. Say bye to the people. Okay.